Hello and good morning on this Friday to you all out there watching us on the morning show. I'm Marshall Shore.
And I'm Melissa Farley. We're here at the
fabulous Arizona Center. And oh my gosh, you know, we have such an amazing show today.
We do, and it's Friday.
It's
feeling
Friday,
good.
and you know, I love how we have remnants of even yesterday's show.
We do.
Because you'll notice this beautiful flower arrangement that Alexis made, and she's like, she just left it with us.
Yeah,
I'm surprised nobody cannibalized it.
Thrilled that Arizona Flower Market gave us this gift after being on the show. You can see even more of their incredible work and tons of floral artists' work, vendors, painters, muralists, all sorts of good stuff happening at Tempe Blooms this weekend. So we're just leaving that here to be a little reminder for you. Yeah.
But we've got such a fun show coming on today.
I hear one of your friends is on the show today. Yeah. So that'll be a good time.
As we get to learn about each other, for good or bad. Or
I don't know how I feel about my results, honestly. I had a weird response to it.
Oh, I mean, I was like not shocked at all. I was like, well, probably should have been more, but.
You know what I felt like? This will make more sense when we talk about it. Okay. But I felt like it was like reflective of the current mood I was in. And like if I had taken it we took an assessment, kind of one of those like personality assessment things, and I felt like I was in a very specific mood, and I took it and I was like, yeah, that's indicative of how I feel right now. But I don't know if that's like me all the time.
If that's long term or it's just that moment. Well, that'll be an interesting question.
Yeah, no, it is. It is an interesting question.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to have a couple different guests on today. We are going to have Chef back for SAVOR AZ.
That's right.
I have no idea actually what he's cooking up this time. Do you?
I'm not sure. I'm hoping.
You're hoping? What are you hoping?
I don't know. I mean, it's like, you know, I love the fact that I learned so much just last time.
Yeah.
And so intrigued to see what I'm going to learn this time.
Okay.
So that's the fun. So I'm hoping to just learn something that I don't know about food.
Selfishly, I'm hoping for meat, but I know that you want a vegetarian option. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. Won't know till he shows up and be like, hey, here's what I'm cooking away.
Which is so fun. I actually really enjoy that. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this, introduce you to our first guest, and get things rolling on this fine Friday.
Indeed. And hello and welcome back to the morning show on this fabulous Friday. I'm Marshall Shore.
And I'm Melissa Farley. We are here at the fabulous Arizona Center.
And oh my gosh, we do indeed have an amazing show.
We sure do.
Yeah.
So before we introduce our guest, I'm just going to say I feel air like blowing on my legs. Don't look at my legs today, Marshall, because I'm Italian and I haven't shaved in like 2 weeks.
I was going to say you forgot to shave?
I did. But I didn't forget. I like intentionally have just not been shaving because it's winter and you can do that. But I wore a dress and now I'm like, I'm feeling the pricklies.
And it's like catching like Velcro?
Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, that was just your warning.
All right.
Your warning for the day.
So I won't look at your legs nor your feet.
You already looked at my feet and appraised them as symmetrical, so I feel good about that. I've got that going for me. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, but I'm so excited about our next guest.
Who is our next guest, Marshall?
Oh my gosh, it's my friend Kenyatta.
Hi, Kenyatta.
Hey.
You're sitting right next to me.
Yes.
So how do you two know each other?
We don't actually. He made all that up.
Oh, well, I believed it fully.
I don't even know when we met. 50 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, I have a feeling there probably was a connection early in the Emerald Lounge.
Yes, exactly. That's probably exactly where
and then who knows after that, various places.
Yep.
And
I used to play at the Emerald Lounge a lot,
So.
What was the Emerald Lounge?
It was a fabulous dive bar that is now.
Where was it?
Is it a Starbucks? It was a Starbucks.
It's not a Starbucks now. It's Noble Ground. It's a little coffee shop.
Okay.
It's 7th Avenue and McDowell.
Yeah, I know where Noble Ground is. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that used to be the Emerald Lounge.
Yeah, there was a whole building there and had this great dive bar in it.
Mm.
Was it like Wizard of Oz themed, like the Emerald City? No?
But
There might have been some green.
You know,
but there may have been some green paint on the wall. Who knows?
Right. It's dark, it's dingy, like no one.
Right, exactly.
All right. Okay.
It was the best place ever.
It was, yeah.
So Kenyatta, it's interesting because there's a drum set over there next to you that I know you're going to be playing later. We're talking about music, playing at the Emerald Lounge, and yet my first introduction to you was taking an assessment.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Will you tell me about it? How was it?
I haven't taken an assessment like that before.
Okay.
That was with always. So the assessment was you had to choose a most likely and a least like you. So I had not done that before. And I was telling Marshall, I said, one of the things that was interesting to me was I was in a very specific mood when I took that. And I was curious, like, if I were to take it again, would I have, because I really did take the advice where I was just being super instinctual and not overthinking.
Perfect.
And I was like, was that just my mood though? Or like, is that me? So anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're wondering about that. Did you look at the results?
I did.
And did you feel they were accurate?
Some of it, yes. Some of it, like the flip side of it, not so much. Because I think I'm highly empathetic, and one of the things that it said was that I'm not emotionally in tune with people or the way they're feeling. And I was like,
you're like, I don't necessarily think that.
Yeah. But a lot of the other stuff, I can absolutely see myself in those things. Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting also, it's like taking it, it's like sometimes it was easy to pick the most or the least, but then sometimes there was a negotiation was going on upstairs, like, okay, well, wait a minute, well, which is the most likely?
Yeah.
It's like, and then I would look at the descriptors underneath going, okay, and then I would like gravitate towards one, like, okay, it's this.
The descriptors helped for sure.
Did either of you get the little turtle?
I didn't get the turtle.
You didn't? Okay.
No.
Did you get the turtle?
I did.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. No, I was trying really hard.
I was reading all the little subtext going on, and, and sitting there, and that like, it's like.
But my brain had a hard time around some of them where it was like they didn't seem related at all, and so those were the ones where you're like, well, yeah, I would do that and that and that, and you're like,
But you gotta pick most.
But you gotta pick most and least.
Yes.
There were some that were just like it was the constant negotiation. It's like, well, if I choose that, then I'm not choosing that.
Right.
So I love it. Now, what did you think about your results? Did you feel?
I would say pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we allowed to talk about them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to get a little bit of feedback on how you felt about that process, right? And you outlined it perfectly. So that exercise, when we share the results, they're 97.1% accurate.
Okay.
Most of the time, 97.1% of the time, that's exactly who you are.
Yeah.
Especially under pressure and frustration and stress.
Oh, well. Okay.
2.9% of the time that we can't measure is because you're human and we don't, things happen. You make a choice in the moment to flex into something that you wouldn't naturally do, maybe for the person sitting in front of you or the greater good, or because you got in trouble doing that before and it's not good, right? Or you may need to be more of something in the moment. Because we all have the capability to do that, but then we go back right to where we are. Yeah. So I call it the behavioral superpowers. Those are your behavioral superpowers. That's what I do. Okay. I coach, teach, and train on that tool and that assessment. There's a lifetime of data and reports that come from that, but I just gave you guys one report, and then I made a fun comparison report.
Interesting. Ooh. So I will let you know, my first instinct after reading it was I kind of like made the face, and then I text like 3 or 4 of my friends, and I was like, am I a bitch and I don't know it? Like that was literally like, I was like, I feel like I'm a lot meaner than I realized. So anyway,
I would say that's muy interesante. That's very interesting. That you say that because I know what style that you are.
Yeah.
And I could see why you may think that after reading it, right?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And
I watched the video too, and I was like,
yeah,
I think I might be an asshole.
Well, so if this is any consolation to you, there's a 10 profiles, 10 styles.
I was curious about that.
There's 10. Mine is called an influencer.
Yeah.
Yours is called an initiator.
Right.
And yours is an engager.
Okay.
And the influencer, if you look at the circle, the influencer is at the top. Influencer is the top of the circle. That's where I am.
Yeah.
You are right next to me.
Okay.
And you are right on the other side of me.
Interesting. Okay.
So that gives you a little insight into where you are.
Well, and I was doing also, it's like, and even taking it, it's like then just kind of seeing how I do business. And I'm like,
yes,
lots of relationship focused.
Yes, you were very strong in that area.
It's like, okay.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that is so me.
It ties into all areas of life and business. So I say how you do anything behaviorally is how you do everything. You can't get away from it. The only thing you can do is try to flex in the moment to be something that you're not. And what I love about what I do so much is I just get to give people a baseline for exactly where they are, like their personal development scorecard. It's like, this is where you are. And you may or may not like it, but this is where you are, you know? So the sooner you understand and acknowledge and fall in love with that, because that's what I want people to do. I want them to fall in love with what is. And usually for most people, when they look at the report, it's either an affirmation, a confirmation, or like a revelation of what they already kind of knew, but now they have language to put to it. They have words to put to it. And they realize that, I hope, that there's nothing wrong with the way that they are.
Well, and I think that's the key message. That it's like, it's you.
It's you.
And so not everybody is great at everything all the time.
Right.
So that, I think for me, that's what this does, is say, hey, you know, here's what you do well.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, those are my tenets that I live by.
Absolutely. And here's what I said, we have superpowers and we have kryptonite. With the power comes responsibility, and oftentimes I say a power overplayed can become a struggle, and a struggle unmanaged becomes a weakness. So if you have these things about you, like me, I'm an outgoing, fast-paced influencer. I'm extremely risky. I'm very abstract in how I think. I'm very spontaneous, instinctive. All those things are beautiful things about me, but if I can't control that, then that's a problem.
Right.
In the moment, you know, I say like Hulk smash. You know what Hulk does? He smashes. Smash.
Yeah.
But the challenge is when he couldn't go back to being Bruce Banner when he needed to on his own. Someone else had to come in and help him.
Right.
But eventually he figured out how to do both.
Yeah.
Like, and I call that unleashing the behavioral superpower. I think we all have that capacity. But it's hard to control those natural things about us, especially when we're frustrated. Like me, I'm not patient. My report says favors logic over feelings.
Yeah.
I'm not warm and fuzzy most of the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I can't or won't be. And it doesn't mean I can't or won't be patient. And after understanding that about myself, coaching myself through it and understanding, you know what, can I flex this a little bit? And I figured out I could. Yoga, meditation, breathing, you know, not being so impatient. Mindfulness, right? I became intentional about it to like catch myself in the moment, because when I saw my own report and my scores, I was like, oh, dang.
So that's where I'm at right now.
You're in the gang stage. Yeah. So there's hope for both of us.
Oh,
right?
good.
And like I mentioned,
hope.
your style is right next to mine, so I can understand some of those tendencies, but I'm also right next to yours, so I have a little bit of both.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys want to look at your reports?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Of course.
All right. So what should we start with? Let's start with the comparison report.
Okay.
Okay, so the comparison report that I put together for you very quickly. So, and let's see, and maybe we can put a slide up to kind of show the people in the audience a little bit about what we're looking at. So I mentioned there are 10 styles. Now that's real small from there, but you can see that I'm right there in the middle, right, where it says influencer at the top, right? And then to the right of me is where Marshall, he is an engager. To the left is the initiator. And there's 10 other styles. And the beautiful part about this is that when you see it like this, you know what you're not. It's almost like it's important, like when you look up a word, you look up the word and you say, oh, I know what that word means. And then you may look at the synonym of the word. And you're like, oh, I really understand that word. But then when you look at the antonym of the word and you know what it's not, it helps you understand it even more, right?
What are the other 7?
The other 7?
Yeah.
So they are, I'll go around the wheel. So an influencer, engager, community builder, relationship builder, facilitator, that's my sister, adapter, stylish thinker, reflective thinker, strategist, and initiator.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing. We all have the capabilities to be all of them in some kind of way.
Right.
Like, for instance, we all strategize. But the 3 of us don't strategize like a strategist strategizes.
Right.
Okay? We can all engage, but we don't engage like Marshall engages.
Yeah.
We can all initiate, but we don't initiate like you initiate.
Yeah.
And we all have influence, but we influence in the way that we're built and wired to do it. So that's what I teach people. Like, you can do all the things, right? We all can be reflective thinkers.
Yeah.
But again, that's not our natural way all the time. So that's really what I do.
Okay.
So, but there's no 2 that are alike. Like, me and my mom are influencers, but we're not exactly alike. So what I did is I made this little comparison report And if you go to, I think the second slide is going to show that. Yeah, so the easiest way to understand this, all right, and I know it's far away, is that Melissa's are the red bars,
Okay.
Marshall's the purple bars, okay? And the longer the bar is to whichever side is the more intensified that thing is in this person.
Okay.
Okay. So the shorter the line and the closer it is to the middle, well, the middle's the middle. That means you can probably flex either way without a lot of pressure or frustration or stress because you're close to the middle.
Okay.
But imagine if you're far on one side, how hard it is to get to the other side. So, Melissa.
Yeah.
Being the take charge initiator,
Sure.
See how far your red line is to the right?
I sure do.
Okay, that's a measurement of take charge. The
Okay.
other side is cooperative.
Okay.
You're not over there.
No, I'm not.
You're not over there.
I'm not
and I'm not far. I'm on the take charge side with you, so I get it. Marshall, you're a 52. You're kind of close to the middle. You can do both. Not a big stretch.
Right.
You'll be cooperative. You'll take charge when you need to. You're good. Either way, you not so much. Okay. Everyone here
and you
probably
hide
knows
it
that.
so well.
This is why you called your friends.
It is, yeah.
Okay. And that's all right.
Okay.
This is what you're built to do.
And that's okay.
Right?
Okay.
The kryptonite is the longer that line is, the harder it is really to get to the other side.
Yeah.
That's when you have to really in the moment go, okay,
Yeah.
right? Because it could overtake you if you're not careful, okay? And then the next one is outgoing versus reserved. That's kind of, introvert versus extrovert, if you will. You can see that Marshall got the long line there.
Yeah.
Okay. You can tend to be a little more reserved.
I can.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't need to go to all things all the time and be at all things.
Yeah.
That's where he's going to be.
Yes.
Trying to drag you along.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep, exactly.
That's how that
Whoever's
goes.
with me, it's like, yeah.
And I'm with you. I'm very outgoing. I'm like, let's go. Where are we going next?
Right.
Oh, we're going here next? Oh, we're going to go for drinks next? Let's go. Right? That's what
Yeah.
we're going to do. You're going to be all, I'm out.
Hello,
Yeah.
adventure.
Yeah.
Hello, adventure. I love that. Then both of you are fairly in the middle when it comes to patient and fast paced. Right? You're kind of right there. Your lines are really small. 50, Marshall, you're literally at 50.
Oh, because I was wondering, it's like,
You're like, where's your line?
You're
Yeah.
like, oh, you forgot me.
You're right
okay.
there. You're right on the line. And you're at
Wow.
47, a little more impatient than patient.
Yeah, that's
but
correct.
I'm like a 32.
Okay.
Like I'm way,
Okay.
there's no patience
Yeah,
there
yeah,
with me, right? Then both of you are very spontaneous. Look, pointing to the left because the other side is planned.
Yeah.
So there's probably people here in
yeah.
your room, your studio, that are like, hey guys, this is what we got to do because you're all,
Yeah.
I'm with you with that.
Yeah,
Right? So
okay.
the structure is not really our zone of genius.
Nope.
But it doesn't mean we can't learn.
Okay.
Okay? We can't learn. Okay. So next is trust, the trust factor. One side is trusting, one side is skeptical. Marshall, you're very trusting. Melissa, you're 52. You're maybe. Okay, and I'm right there with them, kind of in the middle on that as well. And then we've got our pioneer factor. I call that the cruise ship versus the speedboat.
Okay.
Right? And Marshall, you're definitely a cruise ship. You're stopping at all the ports. You're like, what's going on? Let's hang out. You love the balance. You love harmony. You love, why do we need to take all those hills and burn all those bridges? You're not about that.
Because
That's
all
what
those things can
speedboats
help
do.
you for those adventures, because you never know what you need to have in your bag of tricks.
And that's what you would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a cruise ship, that's a cruise ship, right? The pioneer, you're a little more pioneering.
Okay.
You're 53, not so far off, but you're more about, I'm going to be the speedboat. I want to skip across the water. I want to get there fast. And maybe I don't need all those things that he thinks he needs because we're just going anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That's more of your tendency.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't be a cruise ship. And doesn't mean you can't be a speedboat. But with the bar being very far, it's harder to be in that realm.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last two, risk taker. And we've got Marshall is a little more of a risk taker at a 55. You're right on the line at a 51. Okay. And then creativity is the last score. Marshall's way over there at 65, and you're not far behind at a 56.
Okay.
So that is, you have some similarities, but you can see where there's some clear differences. Right there. Okay.
Yeah.
What questions do you have about that? Make sense?
That all feels pretty accurate, actually. Yeah.
See, right, and it's like you might look at it one way, but it's like once it's explained.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I rarely give the report to anyone without them having what I call a SWOT session, a B SWOT. You're familiar with the SWOT analogy, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I do behavioral SWOTs for my clients. Individual and corporations like Intel are my clients, right? So it doesn't matter the size of the group. I just did a comparison report, but I could do a report with as many people as necessary to say, okay, well, here's your behavior, here's your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. due to that behavior, right? So the next thing I'll share with you guys really quick, and I have a slide to go with it, is there was these radio buttons. You might have been a little curious about those on your report if you look at them. So I put yours next to each other.
Okay.
Right? And so on them, and I have mine here so I can see because that's a little far. So you can see that the easiest way to think of these radio buttons is if they're in the 50%, that's balanced, like we looked at the other page, right? If it's a high percentage, that means that, for instance, Melissa, when it comes to getting results versus relationships, this is how you go about getting things done, you're a 69%. That means you're more focused on relationships than, or I'm sorry, results than 69% of the population.
Okay.
I'm a 69% too, by the way.
Interesting. Okay.
Marshall is a 66% on the relationship side. This is how your natural go-to. If a problem needs to be solved, you're going to look at the relationship and go, how can the relationship be bolstered in this moment of getting the result? You are going to go, let's get the result done. The relationship, that's going to be good. And if it's not, it'll still get done, and we'll all be all right. Okay. Yeah, and that's cool, and I'm right there with you, right? So that's something to think about. We don't lose a lot of sleep when it comes to that, right? Then daring versus careful. You're 66% on the daring side, and then Marshall is a 73% on the daring side. Okay,
look at you go, Marshall.
Right? I'm an 86. I'm with Marshall. I'm coming with you, jumping off the cliff. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
And then abstract versus concrete. That's the creative score. So 73% for you, Melissa. 93%.
Wow.
That is. We all know why that is.
Well, it's like when you talk about kryptonite.
Yeah.
Structure is my kryptonite.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
For you. Things that are monochrome would be kryptonite for you.
Very much.
You're not having
anything in a box.
Anything in a box? No, it's painful for you, right?
I would agree with that.
I'm an 86%, so I'm not far behind you with that, Marshall. Flexible. Systematic versus flexible. 90% for you. 96% for you. On the flexible side.
Oh, I was like, which one?
Okay.
I was like, what? Really?
Yeah. I know. I was like, I'm pretty go with it. I feel it. Okay.
And I'm a 93%. So all of us,
it's kind of like
we trust our gut. We're very instinctive. We can respond in the moment. Give us 3 bullet points. That's all we need. We don't need your papers and reports. We don't memorize anything. We don't have time for it.
Yes.
And that is literally our power.
Yes.
And our kryptonite is structure.
Yes.
And planning and doing things the same way twice.
Yeah.
We're not interested.
I have a client right now that I have a very difficult relationship with because I would guess that her thing is the opposite of me. And oh my God.
Both of you are probably like, ooh.
Yeah, it's
we
hard.
call that behavioral bias.
Yeah.
We have bias against those who are, because we think they're wrong, actually.
Yeah.
In some way, we're like, why can't you be more like this? Now, this happens oftentimes. We don't always admit it.
Right.
But I teach my clients about this thing called behavioral bias, and it's oftentimes very underlining because you don't realize you really have it. But oftentimes, we tend to think that when people do things differently than us, that it might be the wrong way.
Yeah.
And we may realize we need them because we can't do what they do.
Well, see, and that's the thing is, I appreciate people who think differently than I do. And so I have friends, it's like, okay, I will go to my friend Brad for this because he thinks in a very different way than I do.
Yeah.
And so there are friends that I go with different ideas and things just because they will help me get to where I need to through their process.
And that's a smart way to go about it. But most people don't always look at it that way, which is why they struggle, which is why conflict happens, miscommunication, anxiety. A lot of times we expect us out of other people, and when they don't give us what we expect to be like us, that can be challenging, right? And if you're not comfortable in your own skin, that's where it really gets challenging. So sometimes it could lead to this, just low self-esteem, low self-confidence, envy, all these, negative emotions because you're not comfortable with who you are and you don't truly believe that. And there may be people in your life or things that you see that are always trying to tell you you should be different.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love this, because I'm like, this is you. Fall in love with that. Right. I truly believe that people who love themselves have a really hard time hating other people.
Yeah.
Right? Because how could, you see the beauty and the differences, right? Yeah. And that's key. So the last one is promoting versus operating. That's kind of that outgoing versus reserved I mentioned. Marshall, you are a 72% on the promoting side. you're 68, so you're outgoing as well, but you still can flip to the other side, like we talked about. I'm like an 86. I'm all in, probably all the time. That's why I need to reel it in, you know. So yeah, that's basically a quick snapshot into what I call the behavioral superpowers universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing about this tool is really neat is that you only have to take it one time.
Okay.
So many psychometric assessments, you have to, they will recommend you do it over and over again over time, because it's measuring what changes in you. But as we went through all that information, you guys could probably already see these are things that don't typically change in you. You're not going to wake up one day and you know all of a sudden be structured.
Right.
Right? It's just not going to happen.
Some folks hope
that would be really weird.
That would be weird.
But it's not going to.
But the beautiful part is that you can figure out those things you want to work on.
Yeah.
Right.
And then figure out, okay, what do I need to do? Like me being with the patient. I have people now who call me Kenyatta. No one would ever have called me that like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But I consciously said, how, you know, this isn't always working for me. It's not always working for the relationships I'm in. It's not always working about, so how do I flex?
Right.
But it's in the moments I'm able to do that. But you put me under pressure, I'm probably going to go right back to that.
Right.
You know, that very fast-paced, logical, let's just get it done. Bodies may be twitching in the street afterwards, you know what I mean? But we're making it happen. And that isn't always the best approach. You might know what I'm talking about when it comes to that.
Yeah, no, I do.
But sometimes it does get the job done, right? But being able to navigate in the moment. And some people totally get it about you and me. They know what they can expect from us. Right? And they may jive right with us. And that's cool. But then it's what about those others who don't?
Right.
How do we kind of meet them where they're at?
Yeah. Well, this has been so informative and interesting. I'm feeling different now, actually, after talking with you too. So
that's why I said it's like wait and ask questions because.
No, I know.
Yes. That makes me happy. That makes me feel good.
So let's do this. Share with folks a little bit about how they could take this assessment themselves or work with you if they were interested in doing so, and then we'll take a quick break and switch gears a little bit and have you play a little something with us.
Yes. So the name of my company is Freedom Empire Consulting, and I am a behavioral superpowers coach, a speaker, trainer, author. So if you go to my website, which is freedomempireconsulting.com, people watching, oh hey.
See, you have that lower third that tells you it's like here's exactly.
Oh yes, yeah, right there. Go there.
Yeah.
And you can take the assessments right on my website. You can absolutely take it.
Beautiful.
But I do recommend then scheduling a B SWOT with me, the behavioral SWOT analysis, because then you'll be able to have a conversation with me to kind of do a little bit about what we did. But I'll put together a very special report catered to your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But if you go to my website, you can find everything there. And if I'm doing my job, if you Google my name, I should come up. You know?
Yeah.
I'm on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn's my jam. Hashtag LinkedIn is magical. And that's the easiest way to find me.
Beautiful. So. Well, definitely, if you're interested at all in this kind of thing, take the assessment. I feel like I learned a lot actually about myself through that process.
Well, and I was thinking it's like, it would be good not just in business, but even in personal relationships.
Oh yeah,
kind of
totally.
know where, because it's like, I'm like, I already know people in my life. It's like, oh yeah. I mean,
well, it's funny as you were saying that too. I was like, I know I'm going to send this to this person, and this, like I was like,
I work with a lot of families, as well. A lot of if there's two people involved, this is helpful. And on your report, you might have noticed there was communication keys. And let me just go this real quick, because I say cut this part out and send it to your family, because it tells them exactly how you want to be communicated with. So you, Melissa, you want people to offer up options and recommendations for a decision, because you want to make the decision.
I do.
You want them to give you direct answers and get to the point.
I do.
Because that's what you're going to do, right? You want to see the results and the outcomes, but you also want plenty of freedom and graphics and verbal communications, right?
Do.
So ideally, you want to tell people that, and you've probably already told them that, but they didn't listen because they took it personal. And I say, it's not personal, it's just behavioral science.
Right.
Because you need that from everyone, not just particular people. And you want plenty of freedom, graphics and verbal communications. Resist the temptation to prematurely edit your ideas. You want people to expect and encourage your out-of-the-box thinking and encourage you to brainstorm.
Yep.
Good
so
to know.
Now you both can share these reports with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and
we'll swapsies.
Yeah.
And then, there you go. So, and you can have some fun with it too. You can be like, okay, I'm going to act like you today, and you act like you today, and see what happens there.
I mean, I think it's actually really good, kind of almost like a zipper.
Yeah.
I mean, and how we work together.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, shout out to Tony for recognizing probably a lot of these qualities in us and bringing us together.
Saying, hey.
Yeah, I mean, that was just interesting. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with some drumming and some really cool stuff. Keep it right here.
Welcome back to the morning show on this fantastic Friday show. Oh my gosh.
I like that you went like this.
Well, indeed, because it's just a little bit of foreshadowing of what's to come.
A little bit of spice.
Yeah, exactly. We've already had a spicy show so far.
We have. All right.
So, but I'm Marshall Shore.
Oh yeah, we didn't do that. I'm Melissa Farley.
I don't think
Hi, we're Eminem.
So.
We're here doing the morning show at the fabulous Arizona Center. And our guest is still with us, but she's moved over to her drum set, which seems different than what we were just doing.
Yes.
but somewhat natural for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of like you're not your first time behind the drum set.
Here? Let's get my bass.
Let's get your bass in there. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is like matches my kit a little bit with the cool thing on the front.
But look at her drumsticks.
Yeah. They're pink. That's mine. That pink.
That matches
I'm all pink.
Your outfit.
Yeah. I'm always pink. So tell us a little bit about what we got going on here.
So back in the day when I met Marshall, I mean, that was back when I was playing in bands often.
At the Emerald Lounge?
At the Emerald Lounge, yes. And back then I was in a band called the Crying Shames, if you remember that. It was a long time ago. And so I was a bass player. And this is one of my basses. This is my Gibson Thunderbird. It's beautiful. I love it. And I have been playing bass since probably about 1999. That's when I started playing bass, and I played bass in bands. Yeah, that long ago. And but the past 2 years or so, almost, I have been playing the drums. So I'm now loving the drums. And this is not my full drum kit. This is just one piece of it. This is my Gretsch Renown 57. And I saw this kit online. I had to have it. And I've been playing drums. So I've recently, I taught drums at a Girls Rock camp. I'm the board for Girls Rock Phoenix. If you don't know, girlsrockphoenix.org, check it out.
It's an amazing organization.
Amazing organization. Yeah. And we teach young girls, trans, non-gender conforming individuals who want to learn how to play music. We get them for about a week, and we teach them how to play an instrument, form a band. They play at the end of the week, and it's amazing.
How
we have
cool.
about 60 campers. So I had to teach drums last year to the campers because we didn't have a drum instructor.
Okay.
And I was just learning the drums. And I'm like, I can't teach the drums. I don't know how to play them. And they're like, well, figure it out. So that's exactly what I did. And that had me fall in love with them. So now I play every day. I recently just went to a rock camp for women, and I played drums with Neal A, Lita Ford, Nancy Wilson from Heart.
Oh, wow.
Neil Strauss, who plays guitar for Alice Cooper's band, and Eva Gardner was my bass player, and she plays bass for Pink and Cher.
Yeah.
And so that was just last month, and that was really, in my mind, going to this week-long camp was to determine, are you really going to play this instrument, and are you serious about it? Because if you can get through this camp, you should know at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
And I came out of it literally emotionally in tears around how much I fell in love with this instrument.
That's
and,
incredible.
Yeah. So I'm a drummer now.
Okay. And you're going to share a little bit of this with
play,
us.
I gave you guys little shakerettes.
Yes.
So I want you guys to just go like this. Do, you know. Just, in time together. If you, hey, there you go. Okay. And I'll just play along to whatever. You guys just keep doing that. All right. You're kind of the beat, and I'm just gonna make something up.
On me. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just enough for you guys to be part of the band. That's what I really wanted.
Indeed. Oh my gosh.
That's part of the band. And I
Teamwork. Yeah.
I wasn't even really doing much, but it's just the idea that there's so much I still have to learn about this instrument, but I am literally in love with it, and now want to add the drums to my bass playing and really be in bands and be a hired gun drummer. So hey, if you need a drummer, I can play them.
She's your girl. Hit her up.
I'm for hire.
Well, I love this embracing of the beginner's mind. I love kind of just doing something because you love it. I think that's so great. You have shared so many wonderful gifts with us today. We are so happy to have you here. We're going to take one more quick break. We'll be right back after this. We've got another guest. We've got things to do, history.
And we'll have a chef later on. Oh my gosh, so
with
much
real
fun.
eggs.
Exactly, real eggs.
Yeah, so.
They won't make noise like these.
That would, yeah. All right, we'll see you after the break.
And welcome back to the morning show on this Friday. What a fun Friday we're having.
Your hair is particularly fun right now at the moment.
I don't know what it's doing. It's just kind of, it's got a mind of its own.
I know it does. No, we're having a good time this Friday though.
I mean, learning about all kinds of things.
Did you feel like you learned something new about me, or that you already knew all of that?
Kind of already knew that.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of, I mean, again, but that's, I think, why we work so well, because we have some things that are similar and some things that are...
I think the thing I learned about you was the brainstorming component. I didn't realize that was one of your communication love languages. I don't know what the real thing is.
Brainstorming.
Okay, so that's good to know. I'm glad I got that from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are here and joined by another... Oh, we didn't even say who we were. Marshall
that's
Shore.
Right. Marshall Shore, Melissa Farley,
Hi.
Morning Show, Arizona Center, fabulous.
Yeah.
Next.
Next.
All right.
We've established it's fabulous. Also fabulous is our guest that is here with us right now, Dr. Neal A. Lester. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you please tell us a little bit about your role in something called Project Humanities?
Absolutely. Project Humanities is a university initiative at Arizona State University where we, those who are both staff and volunteers and supporters, bring people together to talk, listen, and connect. Okay. A little bit of TLC.
Yeah.
It started 13 years ago, and it was at a time when we had an economic downturn and the university panics because we want to figure out where the major's going, and if we don't have majors, then we don't have money. Well, I was given that charge by President Crow, and I sort of interpreted that a little bit differently. I thought, how can we get the larger public to sort of embrace, understand what it is we're doing without having to start in this sort of academic, esoteric space about trying to define humanities. Nobody can define humanities in a way that is universally accepted. So we thought, well, talking, listening, and connecting brings people together, and it talks about not only what we do, but also how we are human. So this whole notion of what does it mean to be human, I can't answer that because I've never been anything but human.
Right.
And that's what we do. We do workshops, we do keynotes, we do performances, we do anything that allows people to connect and to talk. And not just the talking.
Right.
Talking can be needle pointing or dancing or painting. As long as there is a call, there is a response. And in there is the possibility that people might actually connect.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. I think that's so valuable. I know there's so many conversations and discussions going on about how we're supposedly more connected through social media and digital technology, but our actual ability to have sort of these human-to-human connections and interactions has dropped drastically.
Yes.
And even it's interesting watching younger folks, you know, when they go into a restaurant, they won't even make eye contact or verbally say anything when they make an order because they've done it on the app. And so having these spaces where that's the whole focus, I think, is so crucial.
Well, we don't quite operate in the binary of either it's in person or we do virtual stuff. What we try to do is a combination of both. Because what we do recognize is that technology has allowed us to connect with people that we wouldn't ordinarily be able to connect with.
Yeah.
So online courses, for example. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, but I understand that that works for some people who are not as outgoing and gregarious as you too, and I may be. So there needs to be a space for people who can engage independently. So what we try to do is to find a common space where people can meet and do what benefits them most. Now, at the same time, I recognize the frustration of calling and getting one of those animated things and you're screaming saying, I want to talk to a representative, I want to talk to a representative.
Right.
So there is that.
Yeah.
So we're not saying that one cancels out the other, we're saying that we want the existence of both where we can talk, listen, and connect.
Right.
We have events that are also virtual.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to reach those people who can't physically come and be with us in person.
Right.
Well as it's like those panels, those virtual panels, allow you to have folks that might not be right here.
Yes.
So you can really
That's
pull
right.
in folks from across the country.
Right. Or what we did when during the pandemic, we had one of your sessions where we talked about the things that I collect.
Right. Exactly.
And that was easier to do because I could be in my office and I could pull from this corner and this shelf and say, and Marshall would say, oh, what's that behind you? Well, that wouldn't quite happen if we were in person because I couldn't bring all the stuff that's in my office.
Yes.
That would be fabulous because there's so many times I watch interviews and people will have bookcases behind them. And you're always doing that.
Strategically placed sometimes, yes.
Well, and usually you can tell when stuff's staged. But sometimes, people are just, especially like artistic creatives, will just be really messy and have all this stuff behind them, and you're like, oh, what is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's actually how we led in that conversation, just because it was like during the pandemic, it was like I was posting photos of myself and kind of stuff on my shelves and things like that. And so that's how we started engaging on just the stuff that we collect.
Yes.
And so then we did a whole happy hour on just kind of talking about collections.
And why we collect, and when do you stop collecting, and that has taken on a life of its own because identities are part of collections that we have.
What do you collect?
Oh my goodness. Maybe the better question is, what do I not collect? Okay. I collect Black Americana.
Okay.
So it's everything from dolls to toys to games to children's books. And they're all about trying to counter narratives about identities that are stereotyped and caricatures. So while my research is on African American literature and culture, I try to expand that by recognizing that I don't privilege books. And so Project Humanities has been an extension of my classroom.
Okay.
So that I really can find audiences who aren't necessarily writing an essay to be graded or getting a participation grade, but this is really about moving the classroom into communities beyond the specifics of a literal classroom.
So how do people learn more about Project Humanities?
Well, I'm glad you would ask. If you see this hand any place, this hand, do you recognize that hand by chance? Or that is a hand?
Yes.
Course,
versus the Thanksgiving turkey? Okay, all right. So
I never thought of it.
Well, you remember back in the day we were trying to do the Thanksgiving
I will never see the turkey in there. Just
right.
Because,
well, so we added a few, and if you look very closely, these are actually people.
Right.
And they're people moving in a direction, and it's loosely based on Booker T. Washington's notion that we can be as separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand. And I like to think of that most recently in a talk that I just gave as a choir. A choir is not an individual. A choir are many people coming together. And even though we think that, we talk to people who may believe the same way or think the same way, and we say, oh, you're talking to the choir, well, choir members still have to learn, and they have to go to rehearsals, and sometimes no matter how much they practice, they're still off key. And so that's how I like to think Project Humanities. Each person is singing a different key, and we're trying to create a chorus about humanity and justice. And we throw diversity in there along the way, too. So that's what we do. But the question you ask is, how do you get in touch?
Yes.
We of course have a website.
Good.
And it's projecthumanities.asu.edu.
Okay.
And just look for that hand anywhere.
Okay.
Because we are not only doing these sort of conversations in different spaces in communities, but we also have an outreach to unsheltered folks. So that is a way of what we call practicing what we preach and not just talking about it. So we have engaged for 10 of those 13 years in an outreach that was actually not far from here, close to the Capitol. It was at what was then the Human Services campus, and we supported through shoes, clothes, and toiletries every other week and then a month about 200 to 250 unsheltered adults. And we are continuing that in Tempe in 2025. And we bring volunteers from across generations, across communities, to become personal shoppers for unsheltered adults.
Okay. That's a great invitation and mission. I'm so glad that you're doing that.
I mean, and so many different events. I've attended so many of them, and they're always so different. But you always walk away with this having learned and this connection to greater humanity, which I always find really amazing.
Well, and while it may not change the world, it does allow people to have a space to breathe. And I'm thinking of the one particularly that you did, where we talked about drag queens and drag kings. We had a performance that you helped put together.
Right.
And then we talked about it.
Well, I mean, as well as even, like, I remember doing a culture walk with you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
The privilege walk.
Yeah, the privilege walk. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Well, we try to engage people, and there are ways in which Humanities has not been very good at trying to promote ourselves beyond the academy. And what I've always recognized is we have to be public facing. We have to engage with people who don't have degrees. We have not always had degrees. And so there's a way in which we need to be reminded of that and come out of the ivory tower so that we're accessible. And we're also not just teaching, but we're also putting ourselves in a place to learn. So it really is about humility. It's about humanity. It's about respect, compassion, empathy, all those things that we sometimes relegate to ministries.
Yeah.
We are saying our ministry is humanity.
Yeah. And that ties back into the component of listening. You know, when you put yourself in the role of listening, that's when you're able to, step kind of down from that pedestal and open yourself up to listening to other people's testimonies and histories and stories. And I think that's so important. And that's something that I teach in improv all the time, is that improv is not about being funny. It's your superpower is actually being a good listener in improv. And so that's transcendent in a lot of ways. But speaking of listening, I want to listen a little bit because we've got this book here.
You do have a book there.
Yeah.
Right? Because even though I talk about all these things that don't necessarily have to do with books, I write books.
Well.
And I teach books.
Okay.
And I read books. But I also don't invest book learning and teaching over other ways that we experience the world. So they're things and stuff.
Right.
Books happen to be one of the things that we do and we talk about. And this book is the culmination of 7 years of engaging with people who are practicing how to do social justice. And let me give you a little bit of context. Back in Charlottesville, when we had all kinds of racial stuff going on and people were violently responded to, people reached out to me as one of those Rolodex experts to say, oh my gosh, we have a race problem in the US. What should we do about it? And what always stuns me when I get a question like that, it somehow puts me in a position to believe that I somehow have this secret potion someplace that I can just sprinkle and all those isms will go away, particularly. And I don't actually have it, in case you were wondering too.
It would have been really nice
I know,
if
and
you
it would
did.
be really lucrative. But on the other hand, those divisions are actually quite productive for people who build into separating people. Sexism, racism, homophobia, those things sell and they market well.
Yes,
it's
they
when
do.
people decide they are not going to be divided that those things can go away. But people would ask me, well, what do we do about racism? What do we do about this? What do we do about that? And I actually don't have an answer.
Right.
If I had an answer, I would have solved it. But the other part of this was I can't give you an answer to something that I didn't create. So as I was writing, which is what I do when I'm trying to sort of work through these moments of great tragedy and trauma, I wrote an op-ed piece that said, I'm not okay. And if you're watching what's happening in the world, then I'm wondering, are you okay? So I wrote this, and then lots of people were interested in it. And I just said, we talk about being divided. There's lots of violence. Our country has been built on violence and division. So this is not new. So let's look at the history to see how we can somehow stop this rather than trying to erase the history. That sounds really ironic now, given where we are in 2025 and all the all that. So this book, I thought, well, people would ask me after a talk, they'd ask me in an interview, and I say, well, I don't have an answer, but you know what I can do? Let me look around and get other people to speak on this so that people who aren't necessarily doing what I'm doing can also have what they're doing out there. So when people ask me, I'll say, okay, here are a few ways that you can involve yourself and also connect with other communities doing this work. So the book is not trying to define justice for anybody.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I don't know what justice is, because I don't know that our world has experienced justice. It can be justice for some folks, but what is justice? If George Floyd is murdered, what is justice? Justice would be not having him murdered. So we can certainly have consequences, but I don't know that we can have justice as a realized thing. It's certainly accountability.
Yeah.
But justice in and of itself is an ideal. So this is about looking not so much at what is justice, but rather addressing injustices that we can see. When somebody has been mistreated, that we can see. If somebody has done harm, that we can see. And what are people doing to address those things that they see, that they experience, versus focusing on what's way out there that we may never realize. So the book is 31 people coming together from various perspectives, and they're not all scholars.
Okay.
That was very intentional, because I want this to be a conversation with lots of folks. So they're poets, they're dancers, there's an architect, they're high school teachers, they're actors. There are lots of people who are offering their commentary on how to practice social justice. There are people who talk about trying to do justice work and having it not work.
Yeah.
So it's not all success stories. So it's a buffet, and you get to sample what you want.
Yeah, no, this is, well, I'm eager to read this, and then also one of my clients that I work with is Southern Legal Counsel in Florida. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not. It's a very small team, and they're facing a very uphill battle, specifically against transgender and LGBTQ court cases right now, and trying to really step in for their community with name change clinics and all of that. And this is something that I would love to share with them, and also maybe do some sort of a giveaway if you'd be interested on their social and to some folks, because this is these are the concepts that we are talking about and addressing on a daily basis.
Well, and the huge irony of this is, had this been published a year ago, then this would be a very different kind of conversation. Yeah. But I can say right now, based on legislation that is going through various states, even the word social justice is being taken off of websites. The word diversity is being taken off.
Yes.
So people will be looking for strategies that go beyond higher education, and this is one of those.
Yeah.
Because people will continue to do the work. People have always done the work.
Yeah.
And people have always found those who have been marginalized have not been quiet. In fact, they have continued to raise their voices in other spaces. And I think that's what led to the pretty successful launch of this book. This is my 8th book. I think this is the only one that anybody's actually read that was not in a library and was not like a research assignment.
Okay.
This is really, it's a practical book, because that's what I want to talk to everyday people. So, and you don't have to read it like a novel where you start at the beginning. I mean, I do have a bookmark here, but you sample it and then you go back, and some are shorter pieces, some are longer pieces. There are librarians in there interviewing each other about library spaces as social justice spaces. Do you see what I'm saying? So, and museums as social justice spaces. There's even an HBCU president who is talking about the illusory white supremacy. Those are words we won't be able to talk about or say if we're in certain states.
Right.
And can't be on websites if we're on certain universities. So this is that book. I had nothing to do with controlling when it came out, but there feels like there's a certain kind of cosmic energy about why it's out right now.
So if you missed it, it's called Social Justice in Action.
Yes.
Where is it available?
It is available, well, you can ask your local bookstores to get it for you.
Okay.
I will be doing an author talk at Changing Hands in Tempe.
I was going to bring up, I was like, hopefully available at Changing Hands.
Did the launch at Changing Hands in Phoenix. So they will have the books, but you can also go to the Modern Language Association website, MLA.org.
The good old MLA. Oh my God.
Well, the MLA, it's interesting because that is the Humanities leading organization, a professional organization. Right. So they're the ones that's publishing it, but I want this to move beyond those folks who are in the academy. I want everyday people to pick this up and
Yeah.
feel like I'm talking to them.
That's what I wanted to point out. I mean, it's like you've got socialism in action, models for campus and community.
Yeah. Right.
And so, and I think that really strives for that taking out of just that one setting.
Yes,
and it
absolutely.
needs to be everywhere.
Well, and you know, we're not just, I say this about community, I'm not talking about the community, I'm talking about communities and being in community with folks.
Yeah.
And the thing that has always bothered me is we somehow in the academy talk about people in the community as though we're not parts of multiple communities at the same time.
Right.
And the cover, very deliberately, is to sort of create that action.
Yeah.
If you put this in, you know, a lot of books, you will see the same stuff going this way.
Right.
And this is to sort of start that action already so that you're sort of wondering, well, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
You know, and this is fire.
Well, and actually that makes sense, because even like when just
Yes.
holding the
I
book, I was
saw
like
you
sitting
doing
there
that.
doing
I know,
that
tilting
both
it.
ways. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if you want to read the title.
I saw you doing
And
that.
So as a librarian, it's like you
Yes,
want to,
I saw you doing that.
how do you display it? So
That's
well,
funny.
you display it the same way. The idea is that it jumps out and
Yeah.
that
Right.
you pick it up because it strikes your attention in ways that it would not. And the idea is that it's not geared toward people who have degrees, it's geared toward people who are engaged in community building, however we define that.
Yeah.
And I say that this is the sad part, and I guess the good part, is that it's just as relevant when I started it 7 years ago, before George Floyd's murder, before the pandemic, as it is now. And each person who has written it has updated it, so that there's even the one about the architect, from the architect of color, that's about the January 6th insurrection. So it is that current.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this has been extremely, I don't even know what the word is for it. I'm just encouraged that your work exists in all these different capacities and modalities. And I'll just do a little plug too for Changing Hands. They do an excellent job of building community. And they're not just a bookstore. You know, one of the things I do all the time is look at their events lineup, because they have so many workshops, guest authors, readings, all sorts of things going on that broaden my horizons all the time, and Changing Hands does a beautiful job of that. So I'm so glad you're doing an event there.
And we're ongoing partners with Changing Hands, by the way.
Oh, cool.
So not only are we doing an authors event there, which I'm going to be talking about behind the scenes and all the gatekeeping that went into this and the resistance to this. Trust me, what you see is only half of the story.
Yeah.
It's all the stuff that went on before you actually got to this. That is the gatekeeping. But the other
Yeah.
part of this is we hosted 2 James Baldwin events on the anniversary of his 100th birthday at Changing Hands. So they are very open to a partnership with me and with Project Humanities, and that's what we like.
So
Separate as the
you
finger,
know
but
what we
one as
need
the
to do?
hand.
We need to look at Project Humanities' calendar, and let's pick an event and let's go.
Let's do it.
'Cause, I
Yeah.
mean, there's
I
Or
love
so-
pick
it.
more than one.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like, well,
Okay,
focus on
yeah.
one, and then, but not saying it's like, oh, we'll just pick one. 'Cause there's
And
so
that's
many
it.
good
That's all you
events.
get. Yeah.
Right.
The one on Monday night is actually the one on children. It's on children's book. What did a children's book teach me about humanity? And I think that's ongoing because we tend to forget that we've all been children
Yeah.
and we've all absorbed things. I heard one of the other guests before me talking about biases. So many of those biases come when we're not even thinking about exposure to Disney or exposure to the princess stories.
Right.
And then we can't even think outside of that.
Yeah.
So I also do children's books.
Well, and also, so we were just talking a little bit about music.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So, what about Beyonce?
What about Beyonce?
Love how he just throws
which,
that
which
out.
part of
What about
Beyonce?
Beyonce?
So,
The Beyonce
so,
Bowl, or
So, I mean, you just
Yes.
wrote an essay on Beyonce.
I did. I just wrote and published an essay on Beyonce that was really about the Renaissance first song, "Break My Soul." And I was interviewed by someone who wanted to know, is Beyonce telling people to quit their jobs? Because that's one of the lines in there. I just quit my job. I just I just fell in love. I just quit my job. And I kept thinking initially when I heard that, I thought, the song just doesn't have any real substance for me.
Yeah.
And I taught Lemonade, the other album, when I did a playwright Intozaki Shange, and there was all this feminist stuff that I could grab on and use as companions. But then I listened to the song again, and it just started to have all these fireworks about how that song connects with specifically social movements that Black women have been at the forefront of through their music.
Okay.
Whether it was Aretha Franklin with Respect, Diana Ross with Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand, or Billie Holiday with Strange Fruit, which was the anthem for anti-lynching. And I thought with Break My Soul, the fact that it comes out at the end of the pandemic, the fact that Beyonce, this person who's up there in the stratosphere with Taylor Swift and others, is talking about her soul breaking is about humanity. And so I wrote this saying, look at how she's sort of looking at how people across generations, across centuries, have looked at obstacles that nearly broke their souls. And I've talked very specifically about U.S. slavery and the fact that there was literally efforts to break the soul of the enslaved people by whipping them to death or starving them to death in order to get them to believe that they were enslaved.
Yeah.
And what that to me translated to is, how can we open up this message about how we are experiencing relationships in such a way that our souls aren't breaking. So it doesn't mean that you have to quit your job or leave your partner. What it means is that your investment level changes so that you are not invested, you are not taking your PTO, you are taking your vacation, you are not staying there all night because you're trying to please someone else. You're saying, what do I need to do so that I can sleep well at night and still get the job done?
Yeah.
And so it really is about the politicizing of self-care when you say it's not going to break my soul. And I can tell you, even the publishing of that article nearly broke my soul. Because after all the people said they wanted it in this article, the editor jumped in and said, Beyonce has a lot of money, so why is she talking about breaking soul? And I was like, are you kidding me? That's the whole essence of this.
Yeah.
No matter how much money she has, she cannot get away from all the rumors about Jay-Z's alleged infidelities. She cannot get away from people sort of making fun of Blue Ivy's dancing.
Yeah.
You know, the slap down that was in the, so I'm saying that no matter how high you get, there are ways in which external forces can break our souls.
Yes.
And we have to be reminded that we can be resilient enough to say, stop, let us find community. And of course she celebrates queer communities. It's a nod to her uncle, and sort of this way of saying we are not going to allow our souls to be broken because we're in community with others who support us.
Yeah.
All right, so if you can,
Yes.
how do people find out about Project Humanities
Yes.
one more time?
Yes, we can go projecthumanities.asu.edu, and you can always call us, but who uses the phone anymore? 480-727-7030. But that website is there, and you can navigate that. You can find out stuff about my work. My work isn't synonymous with Project Humanities because it's more race, culture-based, but it's an extension of the kind of approach I take to my own teaching and scholarship, which is to make it accessible to folks and bring people into the experience so that I'm not only teaching, but I'm also trying to learn.
Right.
Well, I could listen to you talk, I feel like, for 17 hours and still have more questions and things that I would want you to share thoughts on. But we, unfortunately, have to take a break, and we'll be right back with some things to do and
some history. So.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for your time and
Thank you.
interest. Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the morning show on this Friday. I'm Marshall Shore.
And I'm Melissa Farley. Thanks for sticking with us a little bit longer than normal on this Friday episode.
Yeah, but you know, as we get ready for an exciting weekend of Bloom.
Totally.
I mean, great topic to talk about.
Oh yeah, we just had so much good stuff that
Right.
we went a little longer.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's always a good sign that you have a hard time keeping your guest interviews to under 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like
exactly. I mean,
good stuff.
I mean, both of them could have been here for hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, we've come to your favorite part, though.
Exactly.
Your
Some Arizona
history.
history.
Yes.
So, all right. So, on this date back in 1947, there was a woman who claimed to be the great-great-grandniece of Jacob Waltz, the Lost Dutchman.
Oh.
And it was said that she had a map that showed you where exactly to find the Lost Dutchman.
I'm sure
Well,
she
the
did.
Lost Dutchman actually is buried not far from the Capitol in the Pioneer Cemetery, but it's all about trying to find the mine
Yeah.
that he kept going back to for money.
Yep.
And to this date, no one has ever found that mine.
No.
So it's one of those various, I mean, there's multiple books that tell you exactly how to find it.
I always wanted to do a narrative, like like audio series about that, like a podcast.
Oh, I mean, you easily could. I mean,
Show.
there have been so many different
fun.
moments of history.
Yeah.
There was the Dons that started off doing like a little tour, and then it wound up becoming this full-blown weekend in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still one of the most talked about legends of Arizona.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, ties into that history of copper. I mean, that whole mining industry of, did he find gold? Was it someone else's gold? Did he mine it? How did he even come up with it? So,
yeah.
So, yeah. And so he's still, I mean, still talked about today.
Now I'm starting to revisit my idea. I'm like, because we have so much time, Marshall, to do all these things.
Indeed. So what are some things we can do besides going to hunt for gold?
Okay, well, if you don't feel like hunting for gold, but you do feel like a little bit of wine and fondue, you can enjoy some wine and fondue for two at Bonnie's Bread and Butter in Chandler. They're going to be doing a special dinner service tonight of their classic fondue. There's also going to be the jazz combo, doing some live entertainment. So it's $45 per person, kind of a fun Friday date night. So, get your fondue on if you feel so inclined.
Indeed. Who doesn't love a good fondue?
I love this next one, and we like this place a lot, so I think you'll also be a fan. The Dolly Hoot, a tribute to Dolly Parton at the Dirty Drummer. Yeah. So it's basically a Dolly Parton tribute featuring an incredible lineup of some local Arizona singers. So if you love Dolly, you want to celebrate all things and all music Dolly, the Dirty Drummer is where you're going to want to be tonight. Tickets are only $10 to reserve a table, and it's from 8 to 11 p.m.
And they have food and drink, so...
They do. Yeah, I mean, what more could you want, really? Dolly music and food. Right. Yeah. Speaking of food, this is kind of a nice thing to do in Arizona. You could make fry bread at the Fry Bread Lounge in Scottsdale. This is happening on Saturday. You're invited to come on down to the Fry Bread Lounge. It's the first and only Indigenous-owned restaurant in Old Town Scottsdale, so huge congratulations to them on that.
Yeah.
And this workshop will include measuring the ingredients, mixing and frying your very own fry bread. All of the ingredients and materials that you'll need to make it are going to be provided by the Native Art Market, and the only thing that they're asking you bring is an apron. I'm sure people will bring some really fun aprons. So I think this is so cool. I mean, one of my favorite things to eat is fry bread, but I have not made my own fry bread before. So
well, I was just going to say, I know so many friends, it's like, and each family has their own recipe. So it's kind of like, whose recipe are they using? What's the history of that recipe? And
yeah. So it's $30 per person. It starts at 11 a.m. It's right off of Stetson Drive, so kind of a cool thing to do with your Saturday. This one is also happening in Scottsdale. It is the Lunar New Year celebration at Scottsdale Fashion Square.
Indeed.
Yep.
Year of the Snake is
Year
right
of the
around
Snake.
corner.
That's right. So it's Saturday the 25th from 12 to 2 at Palm Court. It's going to be a ton of just really rich traditions and the vibrant culture of the Lunar New Year. There's going to be the lion and dragon dances. There'll be iconic performances, Chinese music, so much just good stuff to kind of celebrate. It's totally free to attend. It all kicks off at noon and goes till about 2. And so, again, if you've got a family or you're just looking for something kind of cool to do for your Saturday and you're not going to be at Tempe Blooms, then you can go here.
Or you can do multiple things.
Well, I hope so, because I'm probably going to squeeze this one in because I just can't
Is it bingo?
resist. It's not bingo.
Oh.
The next one's bingo. This one's dogs. Doggy Street Festival at Steele Indian School. Yep, that is correct. It starts at 10 a.m. It's the annual dog festival that they do. So you can bring your dogs. There's going to be live music. There'll be food trucks, and I just love watching everybody's dogs and, saying hi to their dogs and not the humans, because that's how I roll, and seeing what they dress their dogs in. So anyway, totally free, 10 a.m. You can come out and do that with your dog. And then you could bring your dog probably to the Lunar New Year festival, but I don't know about, I guess you can bring them around Blooms. They just have a thing about dog-friendly stuff at Blooms.
Yeah.
But you asked for bingo, and you shall get bingo.
Bingo!
Bingo! Bingo in Tucson.
Oh, road trip and bingo.
bingo with cats in Tucson. Yes, it is a real thing. Hunter's Kitten Lounge. They are... it's not free bingo this time. It's $25. You get 5 bingo cards, and you get... And they're not giving away kittens, sadly, no. But it's, I mean, come on. Doggies, kitties, like, what a fun animal-filled weekend.
Indeed.
It is open to all ages, though, so that's kind of fun. A lot of times these bingo events are 21 and over or 18 and over. This is for everybody, and it starts at 7 p.m. And then the last thing is up north, which you don't really have to escape the heat right now. Phoenix has been pretty cool, but if you just want to change of scenery and go up to the Pines, Flagstaff is doing the Comfort in Your Teacup at Willow Bend Environmental Education Center. So basically, this workshop is designed to uplift spirits in the midst of winter and learn ways of crafting your own tea blends. And this is for either some self-care or maybe to care for a loved one. They're going to have demos and tasting of teas, as well as making a tea bag to bring home for each participant. So that's kind of cool. You get to sort of make your own tea. I think that would be neat.
Yeah.
They're asking you to BYOM, bring your own mug. And it is $25 for members, $30 for non-members. That also kicks off at 10 a.m. So
very cool.
Yeah, so you can make some fry bread, make some tea, hang out with puppies and kitties, play a little bingo, see some
and
blooms.
go some booms. Yeah, it's like, what a weekend.
What a weekend indeed.
All right, so dust off your imaginary pickaxe, slap on an accent thicker than a mule's backside, and let your words clatter like a miner's box by thunder. It's a heap of fun. Why, it's talk like a grizzled prospector day.
I love how your accent like petered out, like.
Well, because I was like, how do I
3.
say that word with that? I'm like, I don't really know. So I don't know if this is because of the Jacob Waltz bit that happened earlier with Arizona history, but I just thought it was kind of funny. It fell in the same day.
It is kind of funny.
So, and then also, I noticed your Apple Watch.
I do have an Apple Watch.
So, Macintosh computers came out on this date back in 1984. That's also when they had the most iconic Super Bowl ad ever.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to show it right now.
Glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
And that is still voted to be one of the best Super Bowl commercials of all time.
There was so much going on there.
There's so much going
like
on in that.
A play to 1984, the book.
Mm-hmm.
A knockoff Hooters girl throwing a sledgehammer, and
and lots of monochrome.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
So, well, and it's a good thing we're complimenting it so much because it's also Compliment Day.
Aww.
Indeed. So, it's a great way, just that small thank you to let people know that you appreciate what they've done.
Well, thank you for being such an amazing co-host.
So, and you as well.
You're wonderful to work with. And thank you to all of our guests for joining us and really, I don't know, dealing with our weirdness and enjoying it, I guess. We appreciate it.
Well, it's like, right. And that's the thing. I love, the fact that people are watching us, supporting local.
Yes.
And kind of just learning about this place we call home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, it is also Peanut Butter Day.
Yum.
So,
right.
its roots are back when the Aztecs and the Incas were just doing smashed peanuts and everything else. It wasn't quite as smooth and creamy as what we're used to now, but there you go. Times
I do love me
change.
some smooth and creamy peanut butter.
Indeed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
now kind of an Americana classic. Then we have some birthdays. Edith Wharton. Novelist. I mean, she basically was given a position of, grew up fairly wealthy, but took a role as a woman writer, which was kind of unheard of at that time period.
Well, yeah.
Really looking at who she knew. And so writing things like Age of Innocence, House of Mirth, and Ethan Frome. So that turned into the 1900s, and writing about that upper class and what it was like.
Interesting. I don't think I've read any of those novels. I should change that.
And then also Neil Diamond,
Neil Diamond.
who started off writing songs for the Monkees, like I'm a Believer,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
then went on to Sweet Caroline.
Sweet
Caroline.
Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. I know.
If we only had a drummer. We
just
missed
did.
I know, we missed our
Should've done it
chance
when she was
right
here.
there. As well as John Belushi,
Okay.
who was born on this day. I mean, Saturday Night Live, Animal House,
Yep.
Blues Brothers, so iconic.
So iconic. Yes.
And there you go. And so that's our Friday.
That's our Friday.
Yeah, but you know, we have a chef.
Oh, that's right. We have chef.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we saved the best for last, at least.
Indeed.
Because it tastes so good. We've got SAVOR AZ coming up with Chef Derek Upton. We're going to take one more quick break, and then we'll be right back to, well, we're going to eat something good. We're just going to tell you about it.
Right, and we'll all learn.
Yeah. Marshall's
So.
excited about the education piece.
Indeed.
I'm excited about the eating piece. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, you know it's Friday, which means SAVOR AZ with Chef Derek. Oh my gosh, I think I look forward to this segment.
I know, I do
So-
too. Yeah, sorry, I yelled food right over the official introduction. It is SAVOR AZ that Marshall was saying with Chef Derek Upton, and we are so excited to have you back in the studio.
I'm excited to be back. I love being
Yeah.
with you guys. This is
Yay!
fun
Oh my
every
gosh,
week.
so much fun.
Yeah, so this week we're doing steak and eggs, very classic on every breakfast menu in Arizona.
Yes.
One of my favorite breakfasts. So we're gonna jump into it. I have a filet, about 5 ounces of filet already in the pan, ready to go. And so that's about getting seared off, a little salt and pepper, very easy seasoning, but all the flavor is gonna come from our hash that we're gonna make. And what makes it a hash is adding pork. Otherwise, you just have fried potatoes. So we have some red potatoes going in. We're gonna add some bacon, right? Gotta get some bacon fat in there. And then we're gonna add some onions and jalapenos and garlic, and that's where all of our real flavor and goodness is gonna come in, right? We're gonna hit it with that. We're gonna hit it with a little bit of salt, right? We also want some of all that beefy goodness to be all up in our hash, right? So,
I want that all up in my hash, for sure. Yeah.
look, you can put shallots in here. You can do different types of pork, different types of meat in your hash. It definitely wouldn't make it a hash traditionally, but really, you can do whatever you want with it. It's food. There's really no rules, and you can serve it with salsa, hot sauce, tortillas on the side, sourdough bread. It's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things.
It's funny because I told, before you got here, I was like, I hope it's meat. I want meat.
I know for
Like you're
all
getting
the
Meat
vegetarian
Fest.
and vegans in the room.
I know.
You're getting Meat Fest.
Also, Chef's gonna make my nose sweat because jalapenos and I. Yeah.
Jalapeno? I
Yeah.
like it. The jalapenos.
Jalapeno.
Yeah, it's the fancy jalapenos we use
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
So I have our steak sitting here. We're looking for a medium, mid-rare, medium. Once it gets to a point, we're gonna let it rest, finish our hash, and then we're gonna do a nice fried egg on top, right? So we're almost about there. We're probably gonna let that rest, right? We're gonna finish our hash here. We wanna kinda get it.
See, I remember from last week when we learned that resting lets the juices
Oh
go
yeah,
back.
you
Yeah.
gotta let it rest.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You got to. That's part of the cooking process, and a lot of people don't realize that letting it rest really distributes all those flavors and all that moisture right back into the pan.
It's hard when you're impatient, though, because I mean, my husband, when he actually does it the right way. Whenever he makes steak, he does let it rest, and I'm like, but it's ready. I want to eat it.
Now, food, belly.
But if you eat a steak that's rested, it's a totally better better bite every single time. So our hash is almost there. We're gonna go ahead and get our plate ready to go. Bring that over here.
Chef has the coolest plates, by the way.
I actually have some cooler plates coming for the show.
You do?
Yeah, so one of my friends at Rack Porcelain is sending me some awesome handmade plates that are all from like high-end restaurants.
Oh, wow.
They love the show, they love what we're doing, and so they're going to hook us up with some really awesome
That's
plates.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
That's so
super
cool.
excited about it.
Yeah.
All right,
cool.
so in the same pan, I got a hash on the plate. In the same pan with all the love and everything that we just created in there, we're going to fry our egg. So a little bit of oil in the pan.
So you're doing oil with a fried egg. Interesting.
Yeah, so
Okay. You
I love
no.
I love the crispy edges.
Okay.
Some people don't. I happen to love the crispy edges. While that's happening, we're going to slice this steak. We're going to slice against the grain at a bias to get the most tender bites out of this. Again, you can serve this with tortillas, make little tacos, serve this with bread, salsas, hot sauces, all different types of things. Make it super, super delicious.
I have to say, breakfast tacos have become one of my new obsessions.
Yeah.
I was never like into breakfast tacos until last year, and then all of a sudden I was just like, how have I lived so long without breakfast tacos in my life? Seriously.
Man, you can do all different types of things with breakfast tacos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you ever had Irish breakfast tacos?
No, what's an Irish breakfast taco?
So like corned beef cabbage
Yum.
with eggs.
Okay.
Yeah, super delicious. All right, so if we can get this egg to not stick to the non-stick pan that I have here. All right, let's let that cook for just a second. Might have broken the side of it, but that's okay. It's cooking. There's no real rules here. We're just kind of do whatever we want.
Yeah, we can. That's how we do it on this show.
All right.
Yeah, that was good.
Let me get that turned off. Let that side cook for a second. We're going to hit the top of this with a little bit of salt, just so we bring out those flavors.
So is that kosher salt you're using?
I am using kosher salt, yeah. Large crystal kosher salt. My egg broke, but that's okay. It's going to be delicious.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
It's going to be delicious. But there you go, steak and eggs with a red potato hash with jalapeno, sweet onions, and bacon, and a fillet with a half fried egg on top. You can, like I said, you can serve that with tortillas, salsa, your choice of hot sauce, bread for all the dippy goodness. Yeah, it's delicious. One of my favorite breakfasts.
Ooh.
All right. Thank you as always, Chef.
As always, I love it. Appreciate you guys.
What a perfect dish for the weekend. We hope you try Chef's recipe for your breakfast on Saturday morning. Wake up, go to Bloom, Tempe Bloom.
Right, get yourself fortified for the weekend of events going on.
It's a hearty breakfast indeed. Thank you so much to Chef Derek Upton for joining us for SAVOR AZ. Thank you to all of you for joining us all week long. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We will be right back with you on Monday, bright and early.
with another amazing week of so much.
We just keep bringing the amazing. That's what we do. All right.